You are now watching Maine Wire TV with your host, Tom Shattuck, featuring Maine Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson and the indispensable John Fetherston.
Steve Robinson will be joining us. Graham Pollard is up there on the top left right now. John Fetherston, fresh off of another trip to, well, off of a lot of trips, as a matter of fact. You should just have a GoPro with you, John. Yesterday you were in Lewiston for the city council meeting where it was kind of a redress from shooting victims and those impacted from the shooting.
Unbelievable.
Some great video. So what was the what was the official reason they were there, and what was the outcome? And we'll throw to some of the video, John, as we go through this.
Well, Tom, the more I sit in these Lewiston City Council meetings, the more I just lose faith that the world is a good place anymore, because Robert Dreyer, a gentleman who was shot 5 times in the night of the tragedy and has lost use of his hand and he doesn't have his bicep, is at the podium last night begging the Lewiston City Council to open up an investigation to see if there's more that can be done for shooting victims. And Scott Harriman, who is a city councilor running for a special election in the state rep race next week, is literally doodling on his notepad, not paying attention to what this man is saying. And he literally, Mr. Dreyer literally calls out Harriman and says, "Hey, can you just show me some respect and look at me? Because I'm talking to you." And he's like, "Yeah, I looked at you." And he's like, "No, you're not looking at me. I'm a member of your community. I was shot 5 times. I couldn't pay my bills, so I had to go back to work because disability wasn't paying my bills. I'm not getting the money that I was, supposed to get from the Lewiston Shooting Fund, and you won't even look at me when I talk to you." And then,
so I stepped in the lead here because really the glaring thing is that was that you who got the picture of the doodle, John?
Yes. Yep.
In the world, if there were a world where Pulitzer Prizes meant anything, you'd be getting one for that. That is the most symbolic. I almost feel like somehow that should be in a mural somewhere. Symbolic, just iconic now. It should be symbol of just what this city council, what these elected leaders think of people, these gunshot victims. And you know what the thing is it ain't bad. That took some doodling.
It's not a bad doodle. It's not a bad doodle.
No, it's a very nice doodle, yeah.
It's a pretty good doodle, and you know what? I like the pen too. It seems to be he's using one of those nice felt tip pens. I prefer those, but a lot of concentration into this. This guy's a good doodler.
It's amazing. I'm so happy you got that picture. Somehow I'm gonna make that. Oh, that's the merch. That is going right to the merch.
Are those the new Lewiston Strong T-shirts?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we have to thank Andrew Jones for Andrew Jones with the assist on that. But can you imagine somebody telling you they were shot 5 times, and their wife is standing right next to him, and he's like, "Can you just please look at me?" And Harriman's like, "Yeah, I looked at you. Like, let me get back to my doodle here." I mean, even if you didn't agree with what the man was saying, this man was shot in your community. Yeah. And he's just asking you for 180 seconds of your time. 3 minutes, Give this man,
somebody expanded on the doodle, which is
this might be the best use of AI I've ever seen. This is incredible.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm
one night at Lewiston.
I'm working on AI applications. We got to turn this into a T-shirt.
Was there video of this particular gentleman speaking to the council? So let's drop that right now.
Maine Lewiston survivor. I was shot 5 times that night. I lost my finger. I lost my bicep, my tricep. You guys can't hide it. You can't miss it. Don't look away. Councilor Harriman, please look. Don't look away. That's disrespect.
Counselor, you have not been recognized. Counselor, no counselor has been recognized. If you could please not police what I do with my body. Counselor, I looked, and now I am listening. Counselor Harriman, you're out of order. Thank you. No, we're not recognizing anybody right now. We're at public comment. Please continue, sir.
I spent 19 days in the hospital when your foundations that you guys set up for fundraising, I wasn't part of it because I was still in that hospital bed fighting for my life. So when you hear, oh, you guys were talked to, wrong. I spent 18 months out of work because of this situation. I went back to work because disability payments don't cover your mortgage. Just because I was shot, still needed to heat the house, still needed to feed the family, still needed to pay a mortgage to have a place to live. The money you guys raised is missing. And I say you guys, or the community. Everybody was out there and proud. We're raising all this money, national news, woohoo! When the time comes, where'd the money go? All I'm asking is you take the time, review the wrong, and do the right. The simplest part of this is we teach our children not to lie because one little lie grows into a big one. Well, guess what? Right the ship. Because if you're the captain mayor, you're not carrying 5-gallon pails in your boat telling all of your council members to keep bailing that way. What you're gonna do is you're gonna stop the ship, you're gonna bring it to port, and you're gonna have it fixed. And that's all that we're asking for. The survivors, the families, the heirs to the deceased. Because you can sit and name them all you want and publicize it and have a yearly parade through town like we're heroes. We're not. We're individuals that are just asking for accountability and support. And guess what? We don't get it. All we're asking for.
So if John, I'm going to ask you because you and I witness to this. Generally, if you are an injured person and somebody is then being offensive to you, in that person, when you call them out and say, hey, give me a little bit of respect. I am not who I used to be before the Lewiston massacre. I need just your attention in this meeting. And if you're that city councilor and then you decide you're the one who's aggrieved, that's sociopathic. That only a sociopath would be that self-important to think that, oh, you're hurting my feelings now. So is that what we're seeing here? Or what is it that Harriman thinks gives him the right to take umbrage to this guy?
Harriman doesn't have the leadership ability to admit that a mistake was made. Harriman is, in my words, he's dead inside because he knows that this is a situation, if they do investigate, that people are going to be found at fault. And here I look at this from, as you know, Tom, a longtime elected official. You can't give a member of your community 180 seconds of your time knowing that he was shot 5 times and has lost the use of his hand and his bicep. I'm sorry, you're dead inside if you can't do that. Like, you don't have to agree with what he's politically saying. You don't even have to agree with his point of view. But if you're not going to respect this man who, in my words, is a hero in his community, I mean, and this man shapes policy not only on the city council, he sits on the school committee and is asking for your vote next week to be a state rep to go to Augusta. And he can't show a shooting victim 180 seconds worth of respect. I mean, and then the mayor to turn it into, excuse my language, a pissing contest. Shame on the mayor as well, too. I mean, this is your image of your community that you're going to say. And this is going to go national news because I'm going to go on Fox on Saturday and talk about it. So, I mean, once again, embarrassment's going to come to Lewiston about this. And, how does this happen? How does this man get elected?
Well, yeah. And Steve, you're meant to notice he's doodling, right? You're meant to notice that.
I don't know if you were. I mean, obviously you are if you're a Maine Wire viewer because we highlighted it. But I don't know that I think he was just absent-minded. I think that he's his brain's so rotted into partisan camps that he now views the Lewiston shooting as a partisan attack on his identity. Because the Maine Wire has led reporting on it. Because it, for whatever reason, has become only conservatives can care that the money was misused. Liberals have to fall into their tribal camp and and defend Somali NGOs, essentially stepping over the dead corpses of Mainers to pick their pockets, to take this charity money. Like, that's what liberals are defending. And so they're just kind of knee-jerk, have fallen back into their little partisan camps. And so his defense mechanism is just to turn his brain off when an actual shooting victim is talking and doodle on his notepad right there. And I can say, Ben Dyer was one of the guys that we interviewed for the Robinson Report when we initially published a deep dive into the organizations that got the Lewiston shooting money. And I can tell you that there wasn't a moment when I was sitting there in a room with him and he was telling his story that, my imagination drifted, or I felt like he didn't deserve attention or command the room. And there's also a lot that, people don't know about what Ben has done behind the scenes as essentially a center of gravity for the community of victims and survivors that are all trying to figure out, what the hell happens? How do you put your life back together when you're the victim of a mass shooting like this? So he has been a tremendous force for good within that community. And to hear him totally ignored like this, why even have city council meetings? Like, why have city council meetings? Why have public input sessions? Why even bother doing any of that? If this is what the outcome is going to be.
Graham, we wrote a story about the meeting John did last night, and to be honest, now, I hadn't seen the video. I read the story, and then I saw the doodle. It's hard for me not to think that the word MFer should be in the headline somewhere. This is such a middle finger from this punk, this elected punk. Man, I don't know, man. Graham, what do you say to this?
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. And like John said, this guy is asking everyone for his vote in the next week or so. And it's funny seeing the campaign's materials that's been handed out by the Democrats. They're not even including his name in it. They're just saying vote Dem. And I think that tells you all you need to know, that they know this guy's not a good person and not a good candidate. And another video we posted, John was talking to the survivors after the meeting. And one thing John said, which I think was a great point, was like, listen, it's not much, but at least a start would be if the Maine Community Foundation or people on the council at least acknowledged the plea that these guys are having, that wrongdoing had been done here. And nobody is doing that. Nobody even has the fortitude or the humility to say, yeah, we screwed up and we're going to start making things right. They're all doubling down. They're all saying there's no issue to be seen. Yes, like, to the point where now they're ignoring the survivors. Like, what else do you need other than that video last night, if you're the Maine Community Foundation or if you're the city council, to say, we got to do something here?
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hopefully they make it in a darker color here. First of all, are there notable exceptions on the council who should be pointed out, John?
You have to applaud Susan Longchamps for bringing this to and getting it on the agenda, of which then the rest of the council said, oh, well, we have to have legal counsel look at this. And, I sit there and listen to Councilor Nadine going, well, we don't have any authority over the Maine Community Foundation. Okay, well, then you should get up and leave right now, because you represent Lewiston. And if the Maine Community Foundation did something to impact your community, you as a city councilor 100% do have the ability to write a letter, request a meeting, and request an investigation. He wasn't willing to do it. Harriman's too busy doodling. Chittum already has a pre-disclosed conflict of interest. The new city councilor, Noble, said, hey, I think maybe we should look into this. It doesn't hurt to, look into it. So I have to give her credit. And then Brett Martell, the other new city councilor, he was very, very strong on this and said, hey, listen, we need to have an investigation. But at the end of the day, they voted 7-0 to send this back to legal counsel, to have counsel take a look at it and possibly look at the next meeting. So all they're doing is kicking the can down the road to eventually now blame legal. Well, legal's going to say that we can't, open up an investigation and we don't have the authority. What I saw was two strong leaders in Longchamps and Martell, and I saw 5 plus the mayor, pathetic individuals not willing to even stand up for the community. It doesn't matter what the topic is. There was a tragedy in your community, and you're not even willing to ask questions. I'm not saying that you sue. I'm not saying you hold them accountable. I'm just saying you guys don't really want to know what happened, and all because you're afraid of, and it's the elephant in the room, nobody wants to upset the NPOs because some of them are run by Somalis. And you don't want to do that because Mayor Shalene, Harriman are more concerned about the Mogadishu store being invaded by ICE that didn't invade it than they are about Lewiston shooting victims coming to the podium going, I was shot 5 times. Can you please stop doodling? I mean, that's all you need to know.
John, the Facebook messages people from these Somali NGOs are making about us for reporting on this story are why the counselors like Harriman are terrified to do anything about this. They are living in such fear of being called out by that community and losing the votes of that community that they're just paralyzed into inaction because of that.
Well, then they're winning then, aren't they? They are winning then, yep.
John, we have some video, Graham, I think, of John talking to shooting victims. This might be after or before the meeting.
It was after the meeting, yep.
Yes, let me pull that up. Give me 1 second here, guys. Didn't have that one ready.
You know, I think that I'm very maybe cynical about the ability of the Lewiston City Council to investigate anything. What does it even mean for them to have an investigation? You know, they're going to ask their lawyer. I hear from so many people that you know, they're going to ask their lawyer to go do an investigation. And, you know, I mean, the last time we were seeing the city lawyer talk to the city council, he laid out what he thought was the illegal way to replace the city councilor. And they were like, well, why don't we just disregard the lawyer's findings? So what is an investigation really going to find? There's not much we don't know right now because we already did the investigation.
Right.
We know what happened. The victims were originally told 100% of the money raised in their name would go to survivors and victims, their families. And then at some point, they created an NGO, an NGO fund. They stacked the steering committee for it with members of the community who saw no problem steering money to their own organizations. And they tried to play hide the pickle. And now that they're being called out for it, they have no answers. They think that they can hide. They think that they can just wait. They think that they can just, get into the next cycle, and maybe that $800 million fund that they have will protect them like a nice warm cocoon. We know what happened here. We don't need the Mayor Shalene on the case with a magnifying glass, walking around trying to figure out what happened. We don't need an investigation. I think what we need is recognition that any NGO, any migrant NGO that would do something like this, maybe it doesn't deserve a seat at the table. Like maybe they should not be getting any other government funding. Maybe they shouldn't have tax exempt status. Maybe they shouldn't be treated as honest brokers in the public square if they're willing to pick the pockets of the families of Lewiston shooting survivors from a charity fund. I mean, it's a moral judgment that is so foreign to what Americans understand to be the role of charity in society. It's difficult to comprehend why they would do something like this, why they would think that money was up for grabs for, Ayman Osman's soccer league. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Well, but only am I right here that only tens of thousands of dollars have been relinquished by one group, right? Like they still
I don't have confirmation on that. But there is one organization has said privately that they're making plans to return or redistribute the money that they got to in some way to the victims. But I haven't seen any confirmation that that's occurred.
Okay, but there were plenty of times since the Maine Wire broke the story. There's been plenty of time to at any point make a gesture, at any point not be tied with what is a horrific and really especially shameful scandal involving a massacre. So
yeah, I mean, the money was spent. that's what I'm saying. Like the investigation is done. People who shouldn't have got the money because the Maine Community Foundation had really poor controls and no I guess conflict of interest provisions. So people who shouldn't have got the money, they spent the money. This has gone into like, nail salons and, cars and rent payments. Like this money has all been spent.
I see.
And Tom, I've been to 25 of the 29 nonprofits asking, what did you do with the money? I was called a racist in 5 of them. 2 of them I was told I would get a call back. I never did get a call back. And everybody else just says, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like Steve said, the money's gone. It's never come. The horse is out of the barn. It's not coming back. And my point, and Graham's going to play the video, Maine Community Foundation, the money's gone. It's been spent. And this is the question I've been asking since December. Have you put any provisions in place going forward, because it's already over, to make sure this never happens again? They can't even answer that simple question. And you've seen the emails, Tom, and Steve's definitely seen them. Like, this is just a tragedy.
It's amazing. And when you say that, it brings me back to Steve's metaphor. This was a game of hide the pickle, and now the pickle is gone. It's just
they all took big old bites out of the pickle. They're all they were playing hide the pickle. The pickle's been nibbled. The pickle's gone, and now they're all pretending like they don't know why the jar is empty. We can lean on this metaphor for a long time.
Steve, I know that you've got a brother who has served in the military, and maybe some of your other guys either have served or have known people or met people. And in my time being in radio and Radio Row, I've met a bunch of veterans, many of whom, when talking about therapy dogs, many of whom are just broken people. A lot of them have tried to commit suicide, had friends that committed suicide. They've got the survivors complex. And to a person, they're traumatized. And you can tell being around them that they're not okay, which is why they've got the dogs, But these people that John talked to, these people are traumatized people. These people are people who always will be hurting in some way, always will be on edge in some way, will have an anxiety and a horror. And so the injuries, physical certainly, but they're carrying this with them. And you can call me a softie or whatever, but holy hell, to be disrespected while bearing your soul, which in a room that can't be comfortable with the microphone and the lights and the people gathered anyway, to be treated like that, like Graham, that to me is damn evil.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it. We can play the video here in a second, but they made that point. They said going through this whole ordeal again, one of the ladies said it's almost re-victimizing for her, which, that just, you can feel that on a human level, right? You can understand where she's coming from. This shooting was a couple years ago. It should be in the past. The community should be healing. And now there's such a divide still boiling over this just because of a lack of the most fundamental transparency and accountability over this issue.
Amazing. We'll play that. Roll that video when you can, Graham. We're also going to get to in a moment.
So many people that I talked to about this, and it's made national news, so I'm hearing from people who are all out the country, is that the Maine Community Foundation is unwilling to admit that a mistake was made. Yep. And I think what I hear from most people is an admission of a mistake is a step to heal. What do you guys think?
We all know that.
Okay.
What do you tell your kids when your kids are being bad and they do something bad at school? Be honest with me and it'll be so much easier. Why can't they be honest?
There needs to be accountability for what was done. And it was definitely wrong. There's no way that money should have been raised for victim survivors, which I was also there. I mean, we fought for our lives that night. And to hear that money that was raised for us and our friends, was given to these nonprofits that had absolutely nothing to do with any of it. It's almost re-victimizing of the whole situation.
We should know exactly how much the management fees were for this money, how much had to go to paying people to manage the funds and getting them to where they needed to go, but they clearly did not go to the victims. No. It just doesn't add up.
They had told us supposedly in the beginning when they were distributing the funds that none of them were getting paid for any of that. That was our understanding. They told us that they were there. They were volunteers. They were not getting paid for their time as well. We were told initially.
So the money went somewhere. Money went somewhere.
There's connections that just haven't been made yet, but we'll find them.
Ew. So, John, another thing that that was on the docket for last night was ICE presence in Lewiston. We actually tweeted out some graphics about some of the effects of ICE being around or seemingly being around. Tell us a little bit about that, John.
You know, Tim Gallant, former city councilor, was the first one to speak in public comment last night, and I think he you can't hit a home run if you're batting first, but he hit a grand slam right out of the box. There have been no shootings in Lewiston, which is quite a powerful statement, since the rumored presence of ICE has been in Lewiston. Now think about that. No shootings in a city that's infamous for shootings, that, you know, shootings happen on a daily occurrence there. There have been no shootings in Lewiston. No children have been shot. No, adults have been shot. But the city council says, hey, we needed an emergency order to stop ICE from cooperating with city employees in the police department. But last summer, when there were mass shootings in the city council stayed silent and didn't ask for an emergency order. So Gallant is going, you're trying to appease 10% of the population, but ignoring 90% of the population, and going back to what Graham said. They're just afraid of the Somali community. And, you know, Sophia Khalid going to a Lewiston city council meeting last night and lying. And it's not my words, it's the communications director coming up to me and going, Sophia Khalid was not accurate when she said she had a picture of an ICE agent riding in a Lewiston police car yesterday. And I'm like, I know she wasn't accurate. And she's but you have the mayor of Lewiston saying fascism is at our doorstep. You have Sophia Khalid, a community leader, going to the podium and spreading blatant lies about what's going on. And then people are hiding in their house, and people are afraid to go to work and school, and they can't go to the grocery store because of this rhetoric. And an emergency order. And one of the counselors, Brett Martell, asked, hypothetically, if a city employee held a door open for ICE, is that cooperating with ICE? You know, just being a nice person and holding the door? And President Chittum goes, well, that's a really good point. You know, I didn't think about that. Well, but you're saying that city employees can't help ICE. Like what if ICE, dropped something in front of you and you went to pick it up? Can you help them out? Like they don't even know what this means. They don't even know what the terminology means. They just did this to make them, it's a distraction from the Lewiston Shooting Fund, or, the budget shortfall, the $6 million budget shortfall they have in the city. I mean, it's disgusting. There's no other way to say it.
What I'd be interested to know is, the next time you're chatting with Sophia Khalid, is she still running the Community Organizing Alliance, which was based in the Gateway Community Services office on Canal Street? Because for some reason,
Steve, stop harassing her. Stop harassing her, Steve. Stop it.
For some reason, the board, the webpage that they had that listed their board, including Abdullahi Ali, Fatuma Noor, BJ McAllister, Joanne Darkangelo, Chloe Maxman, and this big Democrat organization with ties to the Maine People's Alliance, located in the Gateway Community Services office, which she ran with her brother Muhammad Khalid. For some reason, that webpage just disappeared. And it appears that Sophia Khalid and Muhammad Khalid have changed their LinkedIn profiles to say that they're no longer running it. So this is a ghost organization. No one knows who's running the Community Organizing Alliance now. But as you can see there, the Facebook page still appears to be posting content that tracks exactly with what Sophia Khalid is doing, for her own personal activism. So next time you see her, I would ask, what's happened to the Community Organizing Alliance? Are you still friends with BJ McAllister? Have you talked with Abdullahi Ali lately? What about Fatuma Noor? Why are you apparently engaged in a cover-up of the Community Organizing Alliance as a result. After we investigated and exposed the Community Organizing Alliance's role in using taxpayer money to help the Democrat Party, and in particular the Mills administration and Shenabello's campaign. Just a question that I would have, maybe.
It's a very good question. But what it'll turn into is what turned into me last night when I said to her during a break, I think you owe me.
Harassing me.
Stop harassing me. Stop harassing me. And I said, I'm not harassing you. I think you owe Steve Robinson and myself an apology. And was it a bold statement? Sure, it was a bold statement. But I do think that you, Steve, especially, are not a neo-Nazi. And the fact that she went online and called you a neo-Nazi, I said, hey, you owe her an apology. And then she turned it into, I'm harassing her, that I'm targeting her. I am the reason, in the Maine Wire, are the reason that Somalis are afraid because we're targeting them so much that the police department of Lewiston said, you just need to leave. You just need to leave, go home, get out of here. There's a room full of people, the chief of police and a detailed police officer in the room. Nobody said anything to me. They're like, John, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, I know I didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, but she immediately started clapping. She called me an old man. She called me, racist. Okay. All of those are factual, except for I'm not a fascist.
Yeah, you called me a white fascist.
And then move into to ensure that there's overlapping. So there is a goal for those to
Stop harassing me. Stop harassing me. Stop harassing me. Hey guys, stop harassing me. Stop harassing me. Stop harassing me. Stop harassing me. Get out of my face. Stop harassing me. You're the one in my face, you old man. Get out of here. Stop harassing me. You're harassing me. You're harassing me. Stop.
And as you can see, I can't move anywhere from where I am.
She's got you backed against the wall.
She's got me back against the wall.
She's being held back. Someone's holding her back while she's accusing you of harassing her.
So
hey,
I mean,
in a public place, she might have done some jujitsu on you or something, old man.
But yeah, how is the old man who can barely walk, on a good day, up against the wall? I have no place to go. How am I harassing her? It's just mind-boggling.
Well, I appreciate how her immediate instinct is to go to victimhood. 2 seconds into getting called out, it's the reflex goes right back into the I'm a victim mentality there.
She never imagined
supernatural victimhood speed.
She never imagined that she would ever be called to account on what she did to you, Steve. She never imagined.
I will take your defense one step further, and I'll say that I am in fact the nemesis of neo-Nazis in this state. If you want to pay attention to the historical record, I'm the only one who has chased them out of the state and literally gone up and confirmed their departure. Our reporting on the the blood tribe guy, whatever his name was, the Biden voter, with his friend who was a PAC fundraiser for Andrew Wang, these alleged neo-Nazis who were building a paramilitary camp in northern Maine. We chased them out. They haven't been seen. No one's seen them in Maine since we started exposing them as Democrat activists and massage table enthusiasts.
Hey, but Graham, let me ask you something. What do you think when you said that they go to the victim card? Is she going to the victim card, or has this cadre of progressives been told that if somebody scrutinizes you, you are a victim?
Tom, Hillary Clinton endorsed this lady. Okay. Did you just listen to that video? Hillary Clinton endorsed that lady. And not even an endorsement. She said this was the one I'm most excited about of whatever initiative it was. Let's be clear. She only endorsed this lady because she's Somalian. Her political career, for what it's worth, is because she's an African refugee to America, and she has been exploited for that story by the national politicians like Hillary Clinton, and then people like Don Lemon and the other media outlets that she's done. If she was
you don't think Kiernan Majerus Collins and Steve Collins would really like Sophia if she was Irish?
yeah, exactly. I don't know. But
or if she was a South African, if she was
yeah, an
Afrikaans,
Afrikaner.
yeah, if she was an
exactly. Then you'd have
Afrikaans refugee, you don't
Pius
think,
Ali. Yeah,
you don't think she'd
posting
be
the
hanging out
racist
with Don
videos I've
Lemon?
heard. No,
You know,
but
but
yeah,
that small exchange is the most conversation I've ever had with her in the entire time that I've known her. So how does she come to, the theory that I am a white supremacist and I'm I mean, she's accurate. I am an old man. Okay. That doesn't bother me at all, how does she show your work, Sophia? Show the work where I am a fascist or Steve is a neo-Nazi. She can't do it. She just hides. And don't forget, Sophia Khalid is the one who had me kicked out when I was videotaping Graham Plattner. Never forget that. She doesn't get the credit, but I'm going to give her the credit today. She organized that event. And when, the gentleman said, hey, the organizer of this event has asked me to ask you to leave, that organizer was Sophia Khalid. So don't forget that either. So there's some history there.
Also, if you're her, Sophia Khalid, and you're somebody who's got the facts and the record as your defense, then why not take the old man into the hallway and out debate him and, bring him to his knees right there? Should be easy enough. There's nothing. I mean, it is so, that's what I think is most disgraceful, is that we've had corrupt Democratic machine politicians for more than 100 years. They didn't used to be also just cowardly too. I mean, it's so dishonorable.
Well, did that and just a total lack of talent, just like no political talent whatsoever. And I'm not afraid to recognize, talent in left-wing politicians, like even Mamdani. He's got a little bit of riz, he's got a little bit of talent. Graham Plattner can command a room. He can give a speech. But a lot of the, state level leftist politicians, they're just like big blobs of boring, Carl Schlien comes to mind, actually, and his mysterious $40,000 debt. The $40,000 he lent his campaign so that he could sit in that seat. What a bizarre move. But I'm kind of bored with Sophia because I think she's just like a bit player in a much larger screenplay that's being written by state level Democrats. Like they just see her as a tool to exploit for, migrant NGO power, multicultural power, a way to capture migrant voters, but also the progressive white women who like how it makes them feel when they're on the same side as the Somali activists. Like that's the bigger demographic, really.
Steve, what I see, being a lover of politics and understanding the politics of politics, what I see is a huge missed opportunity for the Somali community with her. My words, I think she's a very pretty lady. When she is focused, she is a pretty good speaker. When she's focused or on her agenda, what I'm saying is she had a national platform endorsed by, Hillary Clinton, on CNN. She could have done a lot of good things for the Somali community, for Lewiston. Like I said, she's attractive. She can be articulate. She could have been a leader. Now what she just is a bitter, angry, what a missed opportunity. You know what I'm saying? They could have molded her into a good leader for the community and got stuff done. Now she's just a soundbite, What a waste.
I mean, it depends on what your definition of success is, though. Right. I mean, I think her brother, Mohammed Khalid, still has Careway Express, which is a motive care contractor. So they're getting plenty of non-emergency medical transportation money. That business, by the way, also based in Gateway Community Services, Lewiston office. Weird, how these coincidences are piling up. Yeah. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. But when it comes to using your political connections to get access to government contracts, I mean, they're doing all right,
Don't you think it's interesting, Steve, that Senator Jill Duson was the only lady in the committee, including all the other Democrats, to kind of speak out a little bit against the translator policy? And she was trying to play it coy, but she was like, why can't we still bring in our own translators? Even though why can't I have two translators there? Well, Jill Duson obviously is deeply connected to Gateway Community Services. And then, as you were just saying, Gateway is connected to all these transportation companies. I don't know, maybe it's a thread to explore deeper, but potentially some of these transportation companies can benefit from a dirty permit type of scan that anyone can get driver's licenses from?
Well, yeah. I mean, if they were actually doing transportation services, they might need licenses. But if they're just making them up and submitting them out of, totally fake, then you don't need licenses. But you're right about that. Senator Doosan hasn't gotten enough scrutiny and criticism for her connections with Gateway Community Services and the way she conducts herself during these committee hearings, but also her junket to Azerbaijan with the whole Gateway delegation. Like, has anyone asked her any questions about what the hell was going on that junket? Like, why were you in Turkey and Azerbaijan taking high-level meetings with foreign officials from countries that the Maine does $50,000 a year in trade with? What was that about? Were you privy to some of the conversations about Abdullahi Ali's campaign for president in Jubaland? It's a very, very strange place for the senator from Cumberland to be in. But when it comes to those translators, the question I have is, Secretary Bellows has stopped the program, like with the Amazon absentee ballots. She seems to be admitting, without really admitting, that there was a problem here. That wrongdoing had occurred. Is this going to fall, on the list of investigations that never really happen with the Amazon absentee ballots? Because those translators should be indicted. They should be investigated criminally for mass fraud, and they should be indicted. Treat them like you would a French Canadian guy who was committing mass identity fraud, who was abetting mass identity fraud. There should be a massive criminal investigation right now, turning the BMV up on its head. They know the names of all of these translators. It's a very small community. It would take them 2 seconds to go and figure out the entire universe of translators and then interview them and figure out the scale of this fraud and find evidence for a criminal prosecution. But I haven't seen any suggestion that there's actually a criminal investigation going on here. And I'm pretty sure they said they're not
investigating. I'm pretty sure they said they're not investigating.
Well, yeah, there you go. I don't know what the statute of limitations would be for this kind of an offense, but a gubernatorial candidate could curry some favor by saying, no, we're going to need some criminal investigations here. We've had fatalities as the result of illegal aliens on the roads. The roads need to be safe and our elections need to be secure. We're going to investigate fraud at the BMV. We're going to investigate how Shenna Bellows ended up giving real IDs to non-citizens using their work authorization numbers in violation of federal statute. We're going to get to the bottom of all of that.
Can I go back to something we've gone past a little bit? Why are the shootings down in Lewiston, do we think? Can I ask each of you, starting with John?
I do think because people are hiding in their house, are aware that is a perception of law enforcement and possible deportations, and people are worried about it. Yeah.
I'll say, Steve, just to devil's advocate this a little bit, that chart that we have, that is shootings from 2019 to I think July 2025. And so you're looking at you're comparing two different time frames. Also, it's winter. And I think the rate of shootings naturally spikes in the summer and declines in the winter. So, I would want a little bit bigger a period of, ICE activity in Maine before we draw any conclusions about its impact on shooting. So we need Operation Catch of the Day to be back running for, several more months and during the summer in order to have some accurate data to look at. But it's correct to say that we haven't had any of these shooting incidences like we did, the entire period prior, where it seems like it's 15, 16, 17-year-old kids somehow managing to get firearms and playing with them on Bartlett Street. Most often no one gets killed. You've seen people getting shot in the leg or whatever, but it just seems like kids playing tough guy with firearms, and it's a real problem in Lewiston.
Graham, what are your thoughts here? Why are the numbers down? Or if they are down?
Yeah, I think the numbers have been declining a little bit even before the official ICE surge, when the rumors started happening. I mean, I agree with exactly what Steve and John both said. I think there's probably a pretty clear correlation between just the general, like, within that community being alert of trying not to cause a scene because they're worried about being deported, rather than before they were essentially just running amok because you got Mayor Shalene as the sheriff in town, and like everyone knows he's not going to do anything. So that's the big difference.
You know, I do have to give credit where credit's due. Lewiston does have a new police chief, Chief Conley. She is pretty tough. And I think maybe some credit has to go to her, is that maybe she's running her department a little bit more proactively and differently. I'm not saying the department was being run ineffectively before, but you know, new leadership in town too. And she's been trying to work out and get out into the community and doing some community policing. So I'd like to give her some of that credit as well too, because I'm hard to impress, and she's been impressive to me so far. So.
And you know, if you're, that's a, I don't want to say it's a crappy job, but I wouldn't want the job of Lewiston Police Chief, because, you know, how exactly do you handle the problem of 15, 16, 17-year-olds getting access to firearms and thinking that, you know, a good Wednesday night fun time is going out and, you know, shooting subsidized apartment buildings. That's a tricky problem, especially because even the people who end up getting shot don't want to cooperate with an investigation. So these people will know very well who shot them and probably know how they got a firearm, but they're not going to say anything to investigators. So I could totally understand how over time the cops would just be like, oh, you know, another shooting with someone who's not cooperating. You know, no one's dead. So how much time are we really going to spend looking at this? I could see how that would, you know, you would just grow numb to the shootings, the shooting violence, the shooting incidents, the shots fired incidents, as they call them. I could see how you would just grow numb to that.
You know, also you get a guy off the school committee who's been indicted for gun charges. Maybe that makes your community a little bit safer too.
So in the chat, Claudia says, please stop posting about the group home on Stevens Street. There's nothing bad going on there. Now, I don't know what we have. Right. Right. What do we got to do? You know, there is video that shows that somebody was unattended, at least on one occasion. There are statements from people who have talked to us. Like, I don't understand to turn away and hide your head in the sand and say, leave people alone, leave people alone. No, these infractions happen. The community and taxpayers and loved ones of people in this system deserve to know this stuff. And it happened. This is not a witch hunt by the Maine Wire, just going door to door places. People are blowing whistles here. And I thought that whistleblowing was really important and noble in 2026. Well, it's happening now. There are whistleblowers all over the place. You've seen it in fraud, healthcare fraud as well, in all sorts of sectors in Maine, that people are saying that there are scams going on, and there's no oversight, real or little oversight from the state. This is the job. The easy thing to do is to ignore it. That's the easy thing. The easy thing is for John Fetherston not to be shoved by Somali women and kicked out of places and have other dudes, you know, pretend they're shooting him in the head. That's the easy thing. That's not what this journalistic platform does. We go and find news. Now, if it seems stark and shocking to people, I would just say that that's because you've been underserved in Maine for a long, long time, where people have been glad-handing you during the newscasts with pretty cupcake reporters, you know, tossing to, silvery-haired anchors, telling you everything's all right. So I don't know. That's my defense, John. But I mean, you're out there for a reason, right?
Hey, nobody wants to report what we've reported. Nobody wants to, because, as I always say, government's first job is to protect the vulnerable. Unfortunately, we've been exposing that the vulnerable is not protected. I don't take great pleasure in finding the stuff that I've been finding. I have sleepless nights over it. I have anxiety over it. Like, I don't want to find it, but I don't have to look that hard for it. So, I mean, It's being presented to us in text. It's being presented to us in emails and phone calls. And when I go and check, 90% of the time, the tips are accurate, unfortunately. So, like, if you know, and I had a neighbor today in Lewiston say to me that another neighbor gave them a hard time. Hey, why are you speaking out on this? And why are you speaking up? And that one neighbor said to me, well, why wouldn't you? Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to take care of each other. We're supposed to be neighborly. We're supposed to look out for our neighbors. And if we're not looking out for the vulnerable, then we're bad neighbors. And I thought, you know, good for you. Good for you for saying that, because it is the right thing to do. It 100% is the right thing to do. People need to speak up. We're not trying to exploit anybody. We're not trying to do anything. I am the most sensitive person to the autism community that you're going to meet. I just don't take any BS from anybody at the same time. But, you know, my advocacy work on autism is almost 30 years, you know, like, there's no bigger supporter of the autism community than I. And that's why when this first got on our radar screen, I'm like, wait a minute, there's no way. I went into it with, it can't really be this bad. It can't be. And unfortunately, people have sent us this stuff. We've just, you know, verified it.
And I would say just to, go ahead.
You working?
Yes, sir.
How you doing? I'm John.
Hey. I'm just calling the main wires outside.
Say my name. I like that.
That was just from this afternoon. Like,
again, you know, I would wonder, the house we went to where someone said, oh, we think this is a group home, and we went to go verify what they were saying, and we talked with a woman who was there, and we were like, no, she understands what's going on. She's like clearly a professional, and there were, you know, 4 cars in the driveway associated with 4 staffers. The kind of everything was in line, and we were like, oh, okay, that's like, that is what you would expect from a healthy, normal residential care facility. You know, if we went back there, are they drawing the curtains there? Are there luxury cars, you know, crowding around it? Do they have black trash bags coming in and out of the facility? You know, are there guys walking around being like, oh no, the main wire is going to be here? It's like, you guys are doing all the things that you would do. And I say you guys as in like the operators of these homes. They are acting like you would if you had something to hide. They're acting like you would if you were, you know, guilty of Medicaid fraud, for example. The pattern of behavior isn't the way that people who are operating on the level would operate. And
the nice gentleman there on the deck there, Steve, I'll give you one guess on what type of car he drives. It's not a Mercedes.
Not a Mercedes. Oh,
Mustang GT.
Yeah, no, Charger, Dodge Charger.
No, Jaguar. Pulls up in a Jaguar. Home health care provider. We have it all on video. It drives a Jaguar. So yeah, you know.
I mean, it's just beyond parody at this point. It's like all of these guys are driving Jaguars and Mercedes and Cadillacs. They've got nicer cars than anybody. You know, and you know, say what you want about the Chinese marijuana growers, but they weren't driving around in luxury vehicles. Not all of them. There were a few, but mostly they went with very, you know, humble vehicles, like, you know, the Toyota truck is a favorite. You know, Honda vans they could go for. They weren't flaunting the fact that they're making all this money, you know, with Jaguars and, you know, Mercedes-Benz G-Wagons. It just shows the level of impunity that they've operated with. That they see no problem, you know, driving a Jaguar around Lewiston, Maine.
It costs like 18 grand a year just for upkeep for a Jaguar.
It's to get the oil changed.
Yeah.
Not a good car.
No, it's crazy. The amount of Medicaid money that's gone into luxury vehicles in Maine over the last 6 years is astounding. Just based on what we've seen, you know, firsthand, John. I mean, John went to go visit a home healthcare business, and somebody ran away in a cyber truck. It's like
in Portland, in Portland. Yep.
But looking at the Medicaid data that was released on Friday, just to underscore the importance of what we're, you know, the group home investigation, you're looking at a collection of Medicaid agencies that from 2018 to 2024 have billed somewhere between $400 million to $800 million. This is real money going into these organizations. They're just one part of I guess the provider community serving this population. But we're talking about huge sums of money here, especially when you consider that at the beginning of 2025, there was $118 million structural gap, is what the Mills administration said, a structural gap. Whenever you hear that, you grab your wallet and hide it, because it means that they're coming to raise taxes, and they did. They raised taxes on hospitals, they raised taxes on recreational cannabis, tobacco excise taxes, licensed arborist fees. They raised taxes on everything to fill that so-called structural gap. But now we know it was actually just a Medicaid overpayment gap. HHS was not policing the cash register for Medicaid and gave away too much money to Medicaid fraudsters, and then turned around to working Mainers and said, no, you need to fill up the tank here. We need more money from you guys, even though we're the ones who can't properly administer these corrupt, exploited programs. So we're talking about amounts of money that have a material impact on the lives and well-being of the people of Maine.
I was many years ago in Boston. I was at this restaurant, a brand new. It was a Asian fusion restaurant, and it was their grand opening day. And the place was sparsely lit, and there was these really well-dressed guys who were walking around there. And I remember I ordered like this whatever dish, and they said, "Oh, we don't have that right now." And they said, and I ordered another dish, and they said, "We don't have that right now." And I went through the menu, and I'm going, and I was with another guy, and it was like 6 dishes. And then it occurred to me after 6 dishes that, oh, I see, this isn't a restaurant. There's something else happening here. And they've got a menu and they've got waiters, but really you're just supposed to, like, does Maine actually have services? Or is everything a scam run by somebody in a G-Wagon who is going to yell at John Fetherston? Seriously, if you're just looking into Maine in the last 6 weeks, that's what you're getting. That's what you're seeing. Is that, I see. This is Scamville, USA, where you come in there, the politicians use you, you reward them, you get these grift jobs, and the people get after the taxpayers and screw them anyway, because they're stupid enough, they're suckers enough to follow the law and pay their taxes. And a lot of them can't go anywhere. So that's just like, that's the reality. Like, how am I off? Like, Graham, if I said that to you, if I met you at Camden Yards at a baseball game and said, "Isn't Maine the place where all the scams are?" Is that inaccurate?
Yeah, I mean, I think Maine and Minnesota are the top 2 in the country for scams. Maybe you throw California in there too, but Maine is on the Mount Rushmore of the fraudulent state programs right now.
I don't know why you would say that the restaurants are weird and scammy. Naima Restaurant on Lisbon Street in Lewiston has fantastic reviews. I don't know if you guys have ever sat down for a meal there, but John, you might have to go to Naima Restaurant. It's right across the street from the Mogadishu store. All their reviews, 4 or 5 stars. I think you could get a really, really nice meal there. Oh, sorry, I'm showing that one again.
Is that on stolen land though? Like, because I was told last night at the Lewiston City Council meeting that this is all stolen land too. Like, so
doesn't that look like a fantastic 5-star dish?
That is something, yeah.
I'm sure you would be able to get served right away if you went into any of those restaurants on Lisbon Street.
No,
those are definitely legit restaurants, totally above board. Nothing shady going on with those restaurants.
Yeah, we talked yesterday.
The shootings might return to Lewiston if that.
Kathy says, I think we should all apply for new Mainers to be new Mainers and get all the benefits. Maine is not the state it once was. It is interesting, but wouldn't it be interesting if old Mainers could find a way to game the system just like many new Mainers are?
Steve's old boss said it best. I don't want special treatment. Just treat me like an illegal alien. I mean, Howie Carr said that for years. It was one of the best things he ever said.
Welfare fraud has been around in Maine forever. It was, obviously it's gotten bigger in dollar terms over the last 25 years, but there have always been plenty of white Mainers in Penobscot and Piscataquis County getting EBT card benefits and then working under the table or something like that. I think the transformation that's happened in the last 8 years is that you're seeing industrial scale looting of the Medicaid program. You're seeing provider side fraud in the Medicaid program. This isn't your, this isn't your grandfather's EBT card fraud. This is a whole nother level of welfare fraud. This is a systematic exploitation of a benevolent political system and a broken social safety net. They're doing it at the industrial scale. And once one individual, and it happens to be people from the so-called New Mainer community, once one individual figures out a way to tap into that Jaguar money, then the others that he knows, they just copy and paste the script. And suddenly you've got 50 home healthcare businesses all operating out of the same, square mile in Portland, and they all happen to be making boatloads of money and have some of the highest, cost per claim rates that we find in the Medicaid data.
So go ahead, Graham.
Well, when you have a person like Sophia Khalid, and I hate to pick on her because there's a lot of people that do it, she's just the name that's on my mind, who's a full-time community leader and a community organizer, it's like, let's examine what that actually is. You have a bunch of people coming to Lewiston that don't speak English, that are from Africa or wherever, that are not associated with, it would be the same thing as you trying to go live in Somalia. You'd be a little lost. And what these people do is they're the gatekeepers that take these people under their wings and spread them out across the different areas in Lewiston. They get them hooked up on the housing. They get them hooked up on the EBT cards. And I'm assuming they are the ones that facilitate, because these people have to be doing something, and they're the ones that are facilitating these workers going out into all the different industries, not just home healthcare. It's a lot of different areas. But it's that kind of larger umbrella network where you have like Gateway Community Services, which is in a way, or Mirrors, or a bunch of other, which is like an airport lounge that anyone just goes and hangs out at whenever they need anything. And they just get like that. That's how it happens. Like those are the hubs where this whole thing happens, where it all gets organized. And then you like the caregivers are not masterminds, I don't think, in this criminal scheme. They're just kind of they're being handed these opportunities, and that's where they end up going.
Right. Well, what's the quick way to snuff out the incentive?
Shut it all down. Shut it all down.
Yeah, you've got to abolish Medicaid. I mean, that's what I've been saying from the beginning. The scale of this fraud is too big and too systemic to rely on the traditional justice system. You're not going to be able to go get, have a U.S. attorney prosecute these people. And that should happen. And the ones where there's the easiest case or the highest dollar value case, yes, there should absolutely be Justice Department investigations and prosecutions, but you're not going to be able to get every single person who committed fraud. We just don't have, we're too lethargic as a society. I don't think our institutions aren't swift and nimble enough to actually bring justice here. So you've got to just abolish Medicaid. It's got to be gone, and then rebuild something new, because the incentive schemes are all warped with Medicaid the way it's currently funded, because it's mostly federally funded, but the states are administering it. So no one at the state level really has that much accountability when it comes to how this money is allocated, because who cares? The federal government's going to be picking up the tab. You've got to unplug every single one of these Medicaid providers that is tapped into the trough here, and you just got to cut off all of the money.
It's going to be tough because it's not just Somali brick and mortars with 84 businesses per 4 office building. It is the Medicaid fraud goes through the entire healthcare industry too, and Medicare fraud, as a matter of fact, too. It's like, anyway, that's a conversation for another time. Unless somebody has another Maine Wire item that we need to talk about. I was going to end with a bit of national politics.
Yeah, I just want to quickly touch on John's video today and just say John was out in the field with Robert Wessels. Robert Wessels, gubernatorial candidate, was doing a ride-along. They got some great footage, so we're working on that. So just stay tuned to the Maine Wire feed. We'll have that coming as soon as we can get it out.
And also on the gubernatorial note, it looks like now tentatively there will be a Maine Wire debate on March 24th amongst the gubernatorial candidates. We're extending invitations to the gubernatorial candidates to come up to the Cross Center we're going to have a debate, and we're going to stream a pregame show and then stream the debate right to our Facebook page, Twitter, social media, website, the whole kit and caboodle. So we're excited to make that happen, and there will be some tickets will be available online after we've handled everything with the candidates and made sure that they have we have enough room for their entourages. But there will be some tickets available online, and people who come to the VIP session might get a chance to shake it up with some of the Maine Wire cast of characters. I think I want to put John in the spin room. I think he'd be good as the guy who interviews the political campaign consultants about how their candidates did afterward.
That would be fun.
Oh, that means, by the way, Graham, that we got to get going on the merch, including that doodle.
Yeah,
I want to be wearing a doodle T-shirt with a sports.
We'll get that
jacket
doodle
on.
out ASAP. Yeah, that'll be the premier one to launch the line with for sure.
Very quickly,
I want to see you in a tux, Tom.
Ooh, here we go. Can I expense that? Before we go, Hillary Clinton has been in the news for the last week. We saw her in Munich yelling at a guy. And she has been all over the place. Earlier, she said that the big threat to the United States is white men who are Christians are the biggest threat to the United States. So it seems like she wants to get in on the game.
Guilty.
Is she running for president, Steve Robinson?
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Why would you say
I think
not a
she's
chance?
Hillary. No, I don't. There's not a chance she's running. Still health conditions. And the Clinton brand has done nothing but deteriorate. I think maybe she's trying to, come out and show her face and draw some attention after the contempt of Congress charges. I think she's just trying to show, she DGAF about the Republican congressional investigations.
Yeah, Graham, she running?
No, I don't think so. But it wouldn't surprise me if she's doing some type of like national consulting or gig. Or I mean, the Democratic Party is devoid of leaders right now, and you can, maybe she feels like there's an opportunity for her somewhere in something. But I don't think the campaign for president is going to be her platform. I think Graham Plattner has a better chance of running for president than Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, unless she's going to Shanghai and getting one of those Falun Gong livers, put into her. I don't see her aging well over the last 8 years. Just in the 2016 campaign, she could barely stand up, almost a decade longer, a decade more of drinking martinis for breakfast. You think she's still going to be up for running for president?
I mean, she face planted now. That's 10 years ago, and she's still with us. I don't know. Maybe she's artificially sustained by vodka at this point.
That's what I'm telling you. She's getting those 20-year-old Falun Gong livers when she goes to Shanghai. That's the same thing that Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin caught on the hot mic talking about how they're going to live forever because they keep getting those fresh organs thrown in them.
Drinking baby blood, drinking baby blood. But Tom.
Yeah.
The bill money is dried up. The Epstein file has impacted probably the Clinton Foundation quite a bit. So Hillary's got to go out and make the milk money, because Bill can't raise money anymore. He can't extort money out of anybody anymore. So Hillary's got to work the circuit and, pay the mortgage, because, Bill Clinton is done, D-O-N-E. So Hillary probably wants to get away from the creep. And, and says, hey, we'll send you over to Germany. You want to speak and we'll pay you 6 figures and get you away from Bill for the weekend. That's all this is. She's just raising money and staying away from her creepy husband.
I think probably she probably fetches a higher fee in Europe where they overestimate her significance and her actual impact. It's probably an easier hustle in Munich than it would be in, Portland, Maine or Boston.
The answer is yes, she is running. After all of this, she's in better shape than she was 10 years ago, I think. I don't know what's going on internally, or her soul is dead, but she's feisty still, and she's better than any other Democrat out there. She's better than Newsom. She's better than AOC. She's better than, I think that she's looking at the field and she's saying, this is my shot right now. And she's grabbing all these people who are on overpasses, saying no ice. They are right in her demo, and they're going to look nostalgic and say, you know what we need to do? We need to go back and vanquish vanquish the MAGA movement, and we need to do it with the person who was victimized most by the MAGA movement, and that is Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Oh,
So are we going to see?
you're unfortunately
are we gonna
making
see
good sense here.
the Hillary AOC ticket?
Oh,
I just threw up in my mouth.
I don't think so. They tend to pick closeted men to be the VP slot.
That's true. Closeted men who happen to be in cahoots with Somali fraudsters and Chinese communists.
Carl Schlien?
Oh my goodness. All right, he is Steve Robinson of the Robinson Report, Graham Pollard of the Maine Wire, John Fetherston, Maine Wire. I am Tom Shattuck. We will see you tomorrow.